What's up, Internet, and welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devindra Hardwar. This week I'm joined by our podcast producer, Ben Elman. Hey, Ben.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. It's just us this week as we start to wrap up the year. There was major news going on. Yeah, the year's over. Yeah, we're in the middle of November. We're planning for an event in January. I have
Yeah,
appointments booked into February.
it
It's
seems like
happening.
your year or like the Engadget year feels like it ends a little earlier than even like people who are like, oh, well, let's wrap things up for like the fiscal quarter or whatever.
No, this
Because
is
as
how.
soon as you start planning for, um, excuse me, as
Mhm.
soon as you start planning for CES, that's when the year is over.
Well, also we have to
And
plan
that
year
starts in like the middle of October. People don't know that.
Yes. So every publication, it used to be even worse with magazines, right? Magazines, you had a long lead time between prep and editorial and then production and printing. But even online, you got to plan months ahead for year end stuff. And then, yeah, CES just kind of ruins it for all of us. Anyway, today in this episode, we'll be talking about Meta's antitrust case, which they just won this week. A federal judge ruled that they are not a monopoly. They will not have to break up. We'll dive into all of that. We'll do some Q&A with our listeners here who are on the live stream. We've got some news to dive into. As always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes or a podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes and drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. We love your letters. I'd love to see more of them. There's, in fact, one I'll be addressing later this episode. You can also join us on our live stream Thursday mornings, typically around 10:30 a.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. You can go check out the archive of that, see our pretty faces, and if you join us live, you can even ask questions. If we have devices, will show off what's new and whatever I can reach in my hands. I have so many things around me. I have this thing right now. I'm going to hold up to the camera. This is the Belkin, the spinning dock, which it's been recalled. This thing is a fire hazard. Did you know that?
Oh,
The
wow.
things you learn. I don't know what happened there, Belkin. We normally trust you. But yeah, you'll see devices like that if you join our live stream. So let's talk about the Meta antitrust case.
you, you
Yeah.
could have had something better on
No,
hand, but
literally,
you're like, no,
where
here's a
else
fire
would I
hazard.
have? Here's a fire hazard. Here's the Rabbit R1. Here's a extra lens that I have. Anyway, big news this week. The biggest news, I think, is that Meta has won its antitrust case that could have forced it to spin off Instagram and WhatsApp. We've been talking about this on and off over the past few years, honestly, since we have started this podcast, because this whole saga began in the first Trump administration when they initially sued Meta for being a monopoly because of basically because they bought Instagram for $1 billion, they bought WhatsApp for $19 billion. They bought these companies, and the argument was that that is anti-competitive because they have so much money to throw around. This is how you kill competition, is just by literally buying up the competition and also preventing other people from buying it. So, quick history there. That initial case was dismissed, I believe. Like that didn't go anywhere. Um, Lena Khan, during the Biden administration, reopened it in 2021 and said, "quote There's no expiration date when it comes to the illegality of a transaction." So that's she felt like the FTC still had space to go after Meta for what it did with WhatsApp and Instagram.
I would say that there were actually three different reasons
Mhm.
why the US government was trying to press this antitrust case against Meta. I think that the first one during Trump's first term was
Mhm.
probably just like, let's be punitive against big tech. And the
Absolutely.
situation in the federal government 2016 to 2020 was
It was
different
clearly
than it is
organized.
now. It's less captured, but it was still an idea that a lot of Republicans had of like Facebook is censoring conservatives. Like, let's be mean to Facebook. And then they found like better grounds because people have written about this in law journals for a long time.
Mhm.
And they went to the second understanding of, hey, maybe this situation with WhatsApp and Instagram created an anti competitive landscape in tech.
Mhm.
Then, when it was brought back by Lena Khan, if you know anything about Lena Khan, it's her logic is if you're touching too many things, it's a monopoly. And now since we've been through like 3 phases of this makes the case precedent like really difficult for any subsequent like
Yeah,
times when you want to bring this up.
because
I
the
think that
precedent now.
Meta would need to do
Mhm.
fresh harm. Like there would need to be
Yes.
demonstrable fresh harm in order to bring this up again and actually have it stick, which
It
sucks in
kind
its
of
own way.
has set the precedent that you cannot go after a company for something bad they did years ago, which sucks. If that is how like this is going to be, looked at moving forward, um, it seems like they're going to be based on what is happening right now. And right now, it seems like the judge is arguing that they're not really a monopoly because they're among the world of social media apps. TikTok is a big one, and they even Zuckerberg had, admitted that they were kind of blindsided by TikTok, and they were struggling to like keep up demand. Basically, they were struggling to keep up attention because the audience was going to TikTok. I love this quote from the judge, U.S. District Judge James Boasberg. He wrote, quote, believing that the only constant in the world was change, the Greek philosopher Heraclitus posited that no man can ever step into the same river twice. In the online world of social media, the current runs fast too. These guys just have a ton of time to like come up with all sorts of references. It's great.
I don't know about that. Like Boasberg has been at the center of a lot of really big cases
Yeah,
this year alone.
pissing off Republicans typically, but
I
yeah,
think that it's more a case of not that he's bored and he has so much time on his hands to like go into dusty old books. Like he is overworked, probably sad, and is like, you know what? This is how I get my jollies right now. I'll
I
write in, a
yeah.
fun little reference to a philosopher
Mhm.
from antiquity.
You read enough legal cases though, especially like judge rulings. They do this all the time because like this is kind of their chance to shine if it's not like a televised court proceeding. But anyway, that quote continues. The landscape that existed only 5 years ago when the Federal Trade Commission brought this antitrust suit has changed markedly. While it once might have made sense to partition apps into separate markets of social networking and social media, that wall has since broken down. And he also noted, I think later on, that TikTok was not even mentioned. Um, yeah, he noted that in the motions to dismiss, TikTok was not even mentioned. And to this judge, TikTok is Meta's fiercest rival right now, and arguably that's true. I think that was harder to see around 2020 when TikTok was like a pretty popular thing. We didn't know how much Meta was sweating, but it was revealed. We've done some, reporting around this initially when the trial was going on earlier this year. In May, Chrisabel wrote this piece called "What We've Learned from the FTC versus Meta Antitrust Trial." There's a lot we learned from that, and a lot was they were pretty threatened by TikTok. I'm going to read here from that piece. Zuckerberg talked about how Meta was slow to recognize the threat posed by TikTok. Let me see. By 2020, Meta had invested more than $500 million into building its competitor Reels, according to internal emails. So that was like, even in 2018, they were a bit surprised by how fast TikTok was growing and how much engagement it was getting. So that's a whole thing. You should go check out that piece because there's a lot of stuff in here that's
Yeah, I
really
want to
cool.
spend a bit
Mhm.
more time talking about this because the first thing is that Instagram was purchased, and then Zuck was like, "Okay, yeah, like we had to do this, but
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the fact that I'm looking at your screen share of this, and there's a banner ad for a DJ set by DJ Pauly D from
DJ Pauly, you got to
from,
focus.
from
You got to
Jersey
focus on the
Shore.
good stuff.
Yeah, okay, all right, getting it back, bring it back in.
Yeah.
So Zuck purchased Instagram because it was like, this is a good idea, like this is a strategic move, but also let's just let it sit for like a while because I, the creator of Facebook, believe that Facebook is a better product.
Yeah. What's interesting is during the trial, Kevin Systrom, the CEO of Instagram, like did not make Meta look good. He said that Systrom said that Zuckerberg saw Instagram as a threat, quote, threat to Facebook's growth and intentionally withheld company resources as a result. Here's a quote from him. As the founder of Facebook, he felt a lot of emotion around which one was better, meaning Instagram or Facebook, Systrom said. So Kevin Systrom, who made a lot of money from this deal, and his name is in infamy because he had a tiny little photo editing app that somebody paid $1 billion for,
I
which is
went and looked
wild.
at and I went and looked it up. Like Instagram is technically not the first unicorn, but
Hmm.
I think like colloquially, it did kick off a lot of the frothiness of
Yeah.
Silicon Valley startups in the early 2010s. The idea that you could get a payout of like 700 million to, maybe 1.5 billion for a thing that doesn't make money and really hasn't figured out how it will ever make money, but
Yeah.
it's like enough of a threat to X or Y established thing that they want to not be disrupted, so they'll pay a bunch of cash for it.
That I was writing about startups mostly back then. So
Hmm.
I was in the middle of that news cycle, and it was truly wild because first of all, it was crazy that this little photo editing app had raised funding that valued it at up to $500 million. So that was the valuation according to VCs based on the funding they had raised. Meta's move was essentially, let's double that. Let's double that, and we'll buy you right now. That really had never been done before. The $1 billion number was just like a thing. It wasn't a thing that was casually thought out there. Sheryl Sandberg apparently thought that Zuckerberg had overpaid for Instagram, but she said in hindsight, she said, I don't think anyone today would say we paid too much for Instagram, but it's also because they had so much money and they could throw that around. Don't forget that purchase led to the insanity for a bunch of $1 billion apps. Yahoo, before I worked at Yahoo bought Tumblr for $1 billion
Yep.
and proceeded to do jack shit with it. So that was,
They proceeded to take off all of the porn,
yeah.
and that includes the like drawn stuff because Tumblr had eaten a lot of the market share that was previously occupied by like deviant art.
Hmm.
Um, so like all of the fan artists who might be drawing spicy stuff and all of the furry artists that might be drawing spicy stuff, like people who are really engaged and like probably hyper daily active users spending most of their time on this site, not just because they're smut lovers or something, but because they've built a community that also includes smut. And then they're like, oh, actually no, we don't want any of you. Great idea.
Great idea. Great way to build a community. I will say Yahoo now is under different management, different CEOs. It's a totally different company. But wild that that was going on there back then. There were a bunch of $1 billion like attempts or things like that. But anyway,
And
yeah.
the really interesting thing from this article, we're quoting something that Carissa Bell wrote up in May of this
Hmm.
year, but I don't think that we were able to get to it because we were just like, okay, yeah, like, there's more stuff coming with the trial, but like,
Yeah.
let's talk about it when the verdict actually comes out. Hey, that's right now. The reason reporters love big tech or just big company trials
Hmm.
in general is discovery. It gives you a cross section of the whole company because everyone involved needs to turn over their emails, and you get a really good look into whether or not this company that seems like a huge juggernaut of not just social media but tech in general is as competent as they say they are.
Hmm.
And the fact of the matter is that it is always closer to Succession or Veep than it is to, I don't know. Can you throw out some piece of media where the business people are actually competent, Devendra?
I don't know. Like
Okay, let's say
West Wing, a
like
West
can
Wing type
keeping
of.
it contemporary, let's say that it's closer to the comedies than it is to
It's
industry
not
or
Mad.
something like that.
I would say Mad Men, which was competent people that also was
Okay.
really really silly, but that was certainly like that was a show about hyper competent people, right? It's not like another thing I think of is no, skipping my mind right now. But anyway, I was thinking of
So
Silicon Valley
the
as a similar
picture
thing. The show Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah,
That's the perfect example of how stupid and dumb it is.
it's true
Yeah.
because Silicon Valley is really just Veep for the tech companies. But anyway, this
Hmm.
shows that I think Meta, formerly Facebook, figured out their ad situation between, let's say, 2012 and 2019.
Hmm.
They became, excuse me, they became the secondary market of ads, second only to Google slash Alphabet.
Hmm.
And they were like, okay, great, we're printing money. What do we do now? And the rest of it was just kind of like, a clown riding a bike that's a little too small for, or a lot too small for him. Um, so in 2022, with Zuckerberg feeling a lot of pressure from all sides, from TikTok, from the growing irrelevance of Facebook. Have you noticed that the UI of Facebook has gotten a lot more boomer coded
It's
in the
always been
last
bad. It's always been
like
bad, but it's definitely
3 or
gotten
4
worse.
years though? Like
Yeah.
since 2020 basically, there's been a lot more stuff that is like, "Hey, here you are posting and here it's posted. I'm going to tell you that it's posted and I know exactly who that's for." It certainly isn't for people who grew up with computers. Anyway,
Yeah.
Zuck is feeling the walls closing in. He's like, okay, this thing that I didn't pay that much attention to, Instagram, is growing a lot faster than my baby Facebook did. So, what am I going to do? I think I want to nuke everyone's friends list. I just want to erase everything so we have like a new golden era of people being like, oh, well, I want to connect with that person down the street. I want to connect with that person that I, met at that cocktail party or something. As if
Mhm.
he was going to be able to wrench 2006 or 2007 back from. Like cut a hole in the space-time continuum and to bring that back because he says he wants to? Okay, sure. Good for him. What?
To be clear, that 2022 story, that's about rising competition from TikTok, not Instagram. So that was the response to
But I
Instagram.
think that everything was happening all at once. Like, yes, it was TikTok, but
Mhm.
I think that he was probably at some deep level feeling kind of sad about the growing irrelevancy of Facebook as well.
No, that's what I'm saying. But when you were talking about just now, you were bringing it up as like that being a response to Instagram's growth. That
Oh,
totally different, totally different
okay.
timeline.
I think I said
Making that
TikTok
clear.
first, but whatever.
Yeah,
We'll
making that
edit
clear.
around this.
It's but yeah, basically that idea to nuke the friend list was completely stupid. But the whole thing is like they bought Instagram because he was afraid of the engagement. He was afraid that Instagram was getting more attention than Facebook was, and they pay close attention to all that stuff because user engagement matters more than revenue for these companies. Same thing with WhatsApp. People were spending a lot of time in that messaging app, so they thought it was worth $19 billion to own that thing because people around the world were using it as like the new, they weren't texting each other, they were sending it in this little messaging app. So Zuckerberg just wanted to suck up all the attention in the room. I think that's always been the thing for him, and they could never figure out video. They were trying to do videos in Facebook. It eventually got to Instagram, but way too late because
They
when
got
they were
every
still
media company to fire a bunch of people and then
so stupid. They have
refigure their digital
yeah,
strategy.
that whole thing, if you all were not there and you don't remember, there was a big battle between Facebook and YouTube for like video attention, and Facebook was paying media companies to put their videos up on Facebook first, which caused them to hire a lot of video people. And then shortly thereafter, Facebook said, "Oh shit, our metrics are wrong. Video is not doing well. Abort, abort," which
And there was
forced
a
a lot
court
of people.
case about
Yeah.
how Facebook was making up the view numbers for
Hmm.
videos as well.
Hmm.
And that was something that like a lot of people based their entire publishing strategy on.
Media organizations fell apart. Thousands of people were laid off because of this decision. Entire strategies had to be reoriented because everybody was pushing to Facebook's video push. So anyway, they were thinking about video. I think the real impetus though was Vine. They missed out on Vine. They did not. We You had to be there for the microculture of Vine. Vine itself, an offshoot from Twitter, right? 6-second videos. people started doing really fun, cool stuff. There was a culture built around Vine. Twitter killed it because they didn't see what the possibilities of Vine were. TikTok itself, it didn't start out being like a video sharing site like this. It was like a music site or something, right? It was something around music. But
It was its own app in
yeah,
China, and then it was also Musically in the
mm,
US,
musically,
but
yeah,
but Musically was its own company.
yeah.
TikTok eventually purchased Musically, and that means that it purchased all of the kids who, let's say are in their mid to late 20s now,
Mhm.
and it was like a lip sync app. And
Yes.
that's why TikTok inherited so much of the uh so it inher let me
Hmm.
find the word. It inherited so much of the not stigma, but like god dang it.
Energy. It could be
Not
energy. It could be whatever. But
It
to like,
inherited the mantle of being like the
sure.
place that like young kids did like lip syncing and then eventually moved to dancing.
Yeah. But the key was Vine was 6-second videos. People did whatever they want and they looped. So people started doing really interesting things around doing repeated loops.
Hmm.
TikTok carried that baton of just
Yep.
like, okay, short videos that you open an app and instantly a video is in front of you and you're just surfing through content. That's where TikTok kind of innovated, and Meta was so stuck behind because like they had the Facebook app, which is just the wall. You can't really change the wall. They had Instagram, which was a feed of photos and occasionally videos, but that app was tied to your friend list. They couldn't quite make it just like I'm throwing content at you. So they couldn't foresee the sort of like instant engagement, instant content that TikTok brought. But anyway, that's kind of why we're here. Meta has won this case. They are not a monopoly, at least according to this federal judge. Maybe the FTC in another administration can try to come at them again for other reasons, but essentially they're in the clear for now. And I want to say like a lot of things are happening in Meta right now too. We also saw the news this week that Meta's chief AI scientist, Jan LeCun, who we've talked about quite a bit, a guy who does not like LLMs very much. He's leaving the company after 12 years. He's going to be starting his own AI startup. We don't quite know what that is. Apparently, Meta is going to like partner with that startup in some way because they're going to want to support this guy. But yeah, he's going to go off and do his own AI thing too.
There's also a big question of whether or not this guy is joining Meta, or not joining Meta, but leaving Meta for his own company
Mhm.
when the horse has already left the barn. I don't know. Like Mira Murai, is it Mira Murati? Mira Murati? Mira Murai?
Maybe
Let me look
Maradi,
this
but
up.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's say it again. Mira Murati's Thinking Machines has gotten a lot of press over the last couple of weeks because it has a double-digit billion valuation with one product that works okay and no plan for big revenue to prop up this valuation.
Yay.
Yay! Going back to discovery and figuring out that maybe Facebook has a Ferrari of a ad sales situation, but
Hmm.
not much else, makes me wonder what the idea behind basically acqui-hiring Alexander Wang at Scale.ai
Hmm.
was, because
They're
those are
they're
two
still
different
chasing.
things.
They're still
We,
chasing AI. Like that's not
yeah,
decided. Jan LeCun is gone, but
yeah, this is the chief AI scientist. This is the person who actually knows how to make AI versus Wang, who I think is much more of a business person.
hmm.
But still, like, there's nothing that I've seen about Scale AI that tells me that it's anything more than a fancy outsourcing company. We
You gotta
keep on
yeah, scale
referencing
that info.
Empire of AI because it was that important of a book. But
Yeah.
every time Scale was mentioned in that book, it was mentioned in the context of this is how you got knowledge workers in Lagos or something.
Hmm.
It's not like this is another crackling AI startup that has a bunch of, brilliant minds attached to it.
Well, if you want to know where the next meta antitrust story is going to be built from, it's probably going to be built around AI. But if you've looked at Meta over the past decade, as we've been covering and talking about them, like Zuckerberg has gone from thing to thing. He spent billions, tens of billions, probably hundreds of billions at this point on AR and on VR first,
Oh yeah,
and all
we
the AI
haven't even
stuff.
touched that.
So there's all that. There was the metaverse thing. He thought he would be first to the metaverse. He even renamed the company around that. Not really the thing. The thing that got people really excited was AI. Even what's funny is that the AI stuff is technically less impressive. Just in terms of like a new thing, it feels less impressive than like the idea of the metaverse, even the things I've experienced in VR. But people were immediately wowed by it because it's like you type something in the box and the smart box gives you an answer. Whoa, humans. We were just so, or at least the business people were so amazed by that. So that's now why we are building our entire economy around AI, and hopefully it doesn't fall apart. Hopefully it doesn't lead to a major crash that will take down the world economy. That's kind of where we are. But good news for Meta for now, I guess. Hopefully this president does not last. Hopefully this president does not make it harder to take on other companies when it comes to other anti-competitive practices or judging them as monopolies. But we shall see. And I definitely want to talk to somebody working in antitrust who can maybe dive deeper into this for us, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah,
I'll
stay
see if
tuned
I
for
can
that.
see Lena on the street of New York City now.
You'll see Lena around.
Hey, come on my podcast.
She's been on all the podcasts. We got a
She
bunch
really
of them.
has. I saw her doing Adam Friedland's show.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was crazy.
You gotta get out there. But anyway, folks, stay tuned. We'll definitely have more news around this antitrust case and probably more to come around Meta and all the other big tech companies. All right. Chat, how are we doing?
Yeah, this may be recorded, chat, so get ready for your name to be mentioned in the audio version
Do
of
you
the
have a
podcast.
question
Maybe, hopefully.
in a
Come up with
question
some good
mark?
questions.
Yeah.
Lucky Dog Podcast says, I think TikTok and YouTube made it more obvious that friends weren't posting enough. I think that's a big question of user behavior, also. Like, yeah, some people post whatever they want to or whenever they want to. That I think that is connected to what stage of life you're at. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I have seen people post a lot when they were like in college because they knew that like all of their friends were also always on the computer, and then it went down. It would go down for like a good long while,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard to tell because it's really hard to tell if that's just the stage of life or if it's the fact that, you know, around 2014, 2015 is when people start talking about politics a whole lot. Around 2016 is when, you know, the whole rise of Trump and everything. And suddenly people don't want to post because they're connected to their uncle and they don't want to get into a fight with their uncle. But now I'm seeing people in
Well,
my
yeah, there
general
was there was
demographic start
yeah.
to post a lot more just because they have like, uh, craft projects that they want to tell people
Mhm.
about, especially if they have kids, because now they know that they are connected to their whole family, and that's how the extended family, all the aunts and uncles, maybe even the grandparents, if they don't live in the same place, that's how they see like daily pictures of the kids. um
Everything changes, and I also think every generation gets the platform. Like they get the communications platform. They get different things. Like there was
yeah.
the whole 2010s was all Snapchat versus Instagram for a long time. I have never posted a freaking Snapchat. I've poked around the app, I've looked at it, but that is the thing that doesn't exist to me. And apparently, like even that, the popularity of that thing has completely waned. But
Oh
thankfully,
yeah.
I don't cover social media. I did not have to pay a ton of attention to that. But I did pay attention to Vine because I like short videos. I like things tied to communication platforms. Snapchat just felt like, you're sharing messages to your friends, and my friends were not doing that, so I had no need to do that. But
it, it's funny
now,
how,
mhm,
like, also when I was in college around like the early 2010s, um there were some people who had smartphones and some people who still had dumb phones.
mhm,
It really depended on, you know, whether or not your family could afford, you know, an expensive thing like that. And so there were people who, you know, in what was it, like 2011 or 2012 when Snapchat
Mhm.
first came out? Like they were immediately on Snapchat, and I think they may still be more ardent Snapchat users now because they were around when it was really blooming.
Yeah.
I was a later adopter to smartphones, and so yeah, I used Snapchat a bit, but I think I basically completely stopped using it as of
Mhm.
2016 or 2017, and it is still on the first page of my home screen today.
You could change that, Ben.
Yeah, I know I can
You
change
get
that,
it
and I
out of there.
probably should.
You could just get it out of there. But basically, we go to the platforms where our friends are. When I was in high school and middle school, like I was on online chat rooms because, well, honestly, I encourage my other friends to get there. But that's where a good place, anime chat rooms, was where I told my friends to go, and we all chatted on AIM as well. That was all the thing. Everybody moved to. You know what I also missed? I also completely missed the live journal era. Like I visited live journals,
Mm,
but I never made one because I was doing college stuff, and we had like our own little internal social network. Completely
any
never.
of the like blogging platforms? I'm not talking microblogging, but like not Zanga, not definitely not Tumblr. Tumblr I
Oh,
think
Blogger.
came
I did
too late.
Blogger
Oh,
when
okay.
that was a thing. Like Blogger was a big thing, which by the way was eventually folded into Weblogs Inc., which folded into AOL, which folded into Yahoo. So now I'm directly tied to all that stuff. But no, my college had its own like little thing called oh my god, don't tell me to feel it. No, it had its own like little social network, and it was a proto Facebook. That's what it was. It was a message board that everybody on the campus could see, and you could tag each other, you could message each other, you could link to each other. It was a page on the internet. Anybody can go there, or anybody on the campus, and that was where we all communicated. That became the place that we all focused on. So you go where your friends are, you go where your generation is. TikTok, especially now, like you hit a button and you can make a video that looks pretty halfway decent and also share it to the world. You could share it to your friends, but also share it to the world, and there's a chance you'll go viral. It is such a different platform than like even Instagram and the way Instagram Reels works and everything. So it changes per generation. People respond to it differently, and I see people of all ages doing TikToks now too because they can. You could just put on the live stream. You're walking down the street, start a live stream, doing something cool, do a live stream. I don't know if Meta's ever going to be able to keep up with all that stuff. Any other questions?
So Declan says Blogger and Flickr were where I was. Haven't
Blogger,
used
Flickr.
either in a decade. Um, Flickr is
Hmm.
a really interesting case because remember I mentioned that I have this friend who's like 6 or 8 years older than me, which means that a lot of the stuff that we talk about, if we're talking about music or music culture, is the fact that she was in Brooklyn and like in her 20s during the peak, big quotes here, indie sleaze era.
Let's go. Name those years. What years are those?
I would say it was probably like 2005 to 2009 or 10.
Yeah, yeah.
And like again, the term indie sleaze did not exist. This
Hmm.
was something that only came up in the last couple of years to describe this cultural moment that was happening in like Williamsburg, but also like the cool, grungy parts of basically every American city where people were wearing American apparel and headbands and listening to Belle and Sebastian and Vampire Weekend and all of that. And so she's doing this project talking about like her memories of that
Hmm.
era and also just like growing up online, sharing music with people, and then eventually like becoming actual like IRL pen and paper pen pals with some people that she met on these forums. And the entire cultural memory of this era is on Flickr.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Flickr was
This
good.
is
Flickr was big.
like, and you
Pre-Instagram.
can
That's what we did
still
before
find it.
Instagram.
Like I
Yeah.
got a she sent me a link a few months ago of, a show from like 2006 or something. And like there she is in the crowd because
Mhm.
this was a time when Flickr was the main clearinghouse for everyone's photos. Then it moved over to Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. Also, a thing that was bought by Yahoo.
Yeah.
at some point, and also offload it to SmugMug. For anybody listening to this, red alert: if you have stuff on Flickr, you should probably get it off. I don't know how
Hmm.
long it's going to stay up there. Have a backup of that stuff. We've reached the point where we talked about this. YouTube is adding the ability to AI upscale older videos because 15-year-old YouTube videos exist. It's going to be it's 2000 it's 2025, so we're coming on 20-year YouTube videos. You'll probably run across a couple of those in a couple of years. So the content has just been up there. It's been out there. And how do those Flickr photos and videos look, Ben? Do they look do they look razor sharp? Do they
They
look
look
okay?
crispy.
Some of them, if they were taken by real cameras, good. They'll last forever.
Oh no, what I'm saying is that they look deep fried. They look
Uh-huh.
pixelated. They look
Okay, so like the Canon, the little power shots. That's what people were using back then. So probably those, which are now back in style. So yeah,
and you know why they're back in style?
because people want that aesthetic.
I'll say this forever.
Mhm.
It's kids looking at family photo albums or pictures on the computer or something, and they're looking at pictures from maybe when their parents were like in their like teens, early 20s, maybe early 30s or something, and they see that and they think this is what nostalgia looks like. For the millennial generation, that's why
Mhm.
so many of us got into film photography. We saw pictures of our parents, looking really young and kind of cool and rangy, maybe in India or something,
Mhm.
holding a analog camera, and we're like, "Ooh, I want to do that." And now the same thing is happening to the younger Gen Z and maybe older Gen Alpha.
Well, it's also the cultural impulse to just do what's not popular right now. Do what's not modern. Go back like a step. Everybody does that.
But
That's
how do you know where that step is? It's probably because of family history.
maybe. I mean, you could modern media will kind of show you like you can have a sense of like where things are. It's more like, yeah, what is popularized by some people. It's usually like a hip person, a celebrity person does a thing and it becomes a trend. That's all it takes.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
That's what we have. Influencer is a profession now.
Let's not forget that Labubu was entirely a like K-pop thing. It was
I'm not even gonna break down the boo boo. I will
yeah,
leave that to
okay.
another podcast.
Mike Jones says in the chat, IRL, like the acronym IRL, online is real life now. No one says that. I think that's debatable. I could also recontextualize it and say, hey, when I say IRL, I mean like back when people said IRL,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. The real world versus the net world. But anyway, We'll go on with some news, and if anybody has any other questions, maybe we'll do some stuff at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a fun chat. Okay, let me intro this. All right, let's move on to some other news. Hey, the entire internet came down again because we're all too centralized on a freaking single goddamn company. We're not learning our lessons. Anyway, Cloudflare had a major outage. It was not a cyber attack as they initially thought. It was a database error. I hate this. This is why this is why the initial design of the internet was all about distributing information and distributing resources because a database error from one company took down a ton of services, a ton of sites. We, like our CMS, had some issues. I think our site itself stayed up. Cloudflare, for you who don't know, because this is a startup that I actually used to cover back when I was more writing about startups, they just exist to sort of like protect your website against DDoS attacks, like protect your websites against things that should take it down. So it's very ironic whenever Cloudflare has an issue that takes down a website because that is what they are paying Cloudflare to avoid. Um, there's not much to say about that other than I kind of hate that we now live in an internet that is just so reliant on individual companies. So like it's Cloudflare, it's AWS. If Microsoft Azure goes down, a whole chunk of things are going to stop working. This is why we have redundancy. This is why we don't just. This is why we also worry about monopolies as well.
So
So,
the Cloudflare outage happened for just long enough
mm-hmm.
for me to send a text that says, the Cloudflare outage is keeping me from getting tickets to Puppet Burlesque. I'm going to a puppet burlesque show tonight, and I wanted to get
Yeah.
tickets 15 or 20 minutes earlier than I ended up doing so.
I'm
But
not even gonna try to deconstruct what puppet burlesque is. I'm not gonna shame you, Ben. Enjoy what you enjoy.
I'm
Keep
not
away from
doing it for
maybe
the
Muppets.
everyone says, "Oh, are you into puppets?" Let's move on to the next one.
Next one, Google's new Gemini 3 model has arrived. This is Gemini 3 Pro. It's better. It's a better AI thing. Google put a couple of benchmarks to highlight the performance here. In humanity's last exam, I'm reading from Igor Bonifacic's report here. In humanity's last exam, widely considered one of the toughest tests AI labs can put their systems through, the model delivered a new top accuracy score of 37.5%, beating the previous leader, Grok 4, by an impressive 12.1 percentage points. Get excited, folks, for these incremental advancements of AI models. Is
So you
anybody
know how
Gemini
people
that
say
much? Hmm.
you know how people say that like tech guys are focusing too much on AI because
Yeah.
it's a way of parenting in a way that doesn't expose your whole soul
Uh-huh.
because you're able to do exactly what you want and not have to do any of the care work after that.
Hmm.
I think this is the equivalent of teaching to the test, as people often
Sure.
decry in public schools and stuff. They're not building a model that is overall so brilliant that it can do this exam. They're making a model that is good at this exam specifically so that they can say that they're so much better than Grok or so much better at Claude or OpenAI, ChatGPT, or anything.
Hmm.
That's not a measure of how overall smart this is. It's just how well you trained it to
It's
this
just a test,
specific
man.
thing.
It's just a test. I will ask you, Ben, are you using any AI search tool at this point regularly, or are you just occasionally running into them like AI mode when you run a Google search?
I pop into ChatGPT every now and I pop into Claude every now and then just to get a sense of things.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll ask a couple of questions and I'll see how it feels, but I am not using it to generate ideas for coverage areas or ideas for the podcast or anything like that.
Right, right. Anything functional. I know people who just don't use Google or web search anymore because they get results faster through Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever, and I don't blame them, except you're not getting all the information. You're getting some information, and it's also unclear if that information is always correct. I will say this about Gemini 3 Pro. If you are interested, you can get it inside the Gemini app. You have to select the thinking model. It's going to be inside AI mode in Google Search, rolling out first to AI Pro and Ultra subscribers. I really wonder how much people are using this stuff or how excited people are. Because all I hear, because that's my sphere, are the complaints that people are seeing AI mode on top of Google search or that Microsoft is shoving more Copilot into their platforms. There was a whole thing about Microsoft turning Windows into an agentic OS. And everyone's like, we don't want that. I didn't ask for that. I want an OS that doesn't crash. I do wonder how much more they can keep doing this. Like, are people actually using it? ChatGPT says they have a lot of subscribers. Google must be seeing something here, but also I'm so not excited or interested in any of this stuff. So if you are, you've got a new Gemini 3 Pro. Ben, you created a new section for our news. Tech is addictive
Just
to
for
Kids Corner.
today. Yes, the
It's
tech is
every week.
addictive
It's
to
pretty much
Kids
every week.
Corner.
But yeah, you want to talk about this Roblox story?
And I don't know if there's another tick to this story quite yet,
Mhm.
but Carissa Bell wrote a story about how Roblox is going to begin asking tens of millions of children to verify their age with a selfie. And of course, they're going
Okay.
to use some kind of um, machine learning based system to
Sure.
figure out, okay, does your face kind of look like the face of a 8 to 14-year-old?
Because all humans mature at the same rate, and this is totally predictable. Yeah.
So in the article, it says that a spokesperson for Roblox added that personas models achieved a absolute a excuse me achieved a mean absolute error. Darn it.
Mhm.
Achieved a mean absolute error of 1.4 years for minors under 18 based on testing by the age check
Mhm.
verification scheme in the UK. Parents are also able to adjust their child's birthday in the app via its parental control settings. But what is actually happening is that somewhere in the back end of Roblox,
Uh-huh.
you're going to have millions, maybe tens of millions of selfies of children. Who do you trust to administrate that server?
Yeah, it's great. Either that or you have to upload an ID to do it too. So that's the other way to prove your age here. This is a thing that we've been talking about. Like when people are calling for age verification on social media, it's really hard to do that verification. It really is. And doing things where you're collecting private data from people, their ideas, their photos, um, it's very different from like uploading your photo to something to like Facebook or social media because you want to. This is for verification. There's a lot of opaque stuff happening here. We don't know what's going to happen with this data, and also we don't know if this stuff works well. So,
Yeah, there's also a
yeah.
question of whether or not you can get any kind of other AI model to generate give me the face
Mhm.
of a 12-year-old or something. And would they be able to figure out that that's AI generated?
We have competing technology solutions now. We have a thing that can AI detect the age of a picture. We also have an AI that can create faces in that age.
And
What
this
a
is a
time!
big question because
What a time!
Roblox has time and again been written up as one of the main places where
Hmm.
people who want to, um, people trying to get access to minors, um, anybody with nefarious
Sure, sure.
ideas about minors, this is where they're going now. It's not like AOL chat rooms, it's not like random Facebook invites or anything like that. It's actually like a lot easier because you're only interacting through these avatars.
Hmm.
They made Snow Crash for 12-year-olds, is what I'm saying.
This is the metaverse, folks. We're finally there. Another story: TikTok now has an in-app affirmation journal and sound machine because the TikTok wants you to feel better. This is actually kind of brilliant because TikTok actually already does a good job of holding attention and keeping you there, like just scrolling and listening through the videos. So if they're like, "Hey, you want to break? You want to break from the headache of modern media? We can help you. They have breathing exercises. They have soothing sounds. The affirmation journal looks like stickers. What's your vibe today? And you choose a word that's your vibe to
So
make
yeah,
you
this is like
feel better.
Headspace for like Gen Alpha or whatever, but like you're
Well,
missing the
it's a
big
TikTok.
point. The
Yeah.
big point is that they're taking away the time spent part of it.
Hmm.
Like you're not going to be able to see that you spent 4.5 hours on TikTok today
Oh, yeah, I think you
because you're
will. There is a time and well-being page. It's just
okay.
brilliant.
Maybe it's going to be more buried though. Like the thing that I'm getting at is that this is
Mhm.
probably a way of sidestepping the fact that the amount of time people are spending on TikTok is worrying. And so the first thing that you're going to find is like the headspace stuff. You're going to need to menu dive to find the actual good information of how addicted you may be to this app.
It could be. It looks like it's the first page, so I don't know how true that is. We have to actually test this thing before I start judging it. But you are right to say to be skeptical, Ben. You're right because the problem with social media is it's too addictive. But if TikTok can say, "Hey, we have all these tools to help people relax," is it our fault they're still in TikTok to use those tools? No, we're helping our users. This is whatever it takes for engagement, folks. That's what it is. It's literally our technology right now is built around hyper engagement. The reason all these companies and billionaires are hyping around AI is because it is the most immediately impressive thing to gain people, to gain subscribers, to gain users. So that's kind of all it is. It's all hyper engagement. TikTok Affirmation Journal. I'd love to know if anybody wants to use this stuff. Drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. Real quick, around Engadget, Tim Stevens, one of Engadget's former editor in chiefs, has done a bunch of reviews for us. He reviewed the Analog 3D, which is Analog's Nintendo 64 system. Gave it a score of an 80, and maybe said something that will be too cruel for Nintendo 64 fans. He says, your Nintendo 64 games never look so good, but Analog's greatest system yet can't fix some of the N64's inherent flaws, those flaws being the games. There were not that many good games. There were some amazing games. Mario 64, which I actually was never a huge fan of, but Zelda, certainly, Zelda 64, Star Fox, a bunch of the first party stuff, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, of course. Once you start going beyond that upper echelon of Nintendo 64 titles, it gets really dark. It gets really really rough. I do kind of want to see this.
Are you gonna be mean to Banjo Kazooie?
Banjo's fine. I like Banjo just fine. Again, Rare makes good stuff. There were a handful of developers making great stuff. I just saw somebody just like breaking down like how wild and weird Star Fox 64 was. Like just the way they built the music for the boss battles. Like there was a time where music composers for games were just like going all out. It's wild. I will send you that link, Ben.
Yeah, in a relatively like small bandwidth environment too. Like you need to make tiny music and a lot of it.
The Nintendo 64 is better than where they came from. Like for me, 16-bit music. The Super Nintendo will always like have that place in my heart because they did amazing work back then. Chrono Trigger, the Street Fighter 2 soundtracks. That is the sound of my childhood. Tim Stevens also reviewed the Porsche Macan Electric, which is beautiful. He says it's the obvious choice when the budget allows. Basically, the choice if you are buying a Porsche Macan. If you are in the market for a very expensive, Porsche, this one's $10,000 more, but he finds that the price is worth it. It's great. But also, this thing looks so great. It doesn't have one pedal driving. It doesn't have one pedal braking. I don't know what you're doing here. Like it's funny how Porsche is like, okay, fine. We're going to build EVs. We're giving you EVs. No, we will not do the EV thing that will reduce driving performance. Like that will basically make it feel less like a gas car. They always want their cars to feel like Porsches with huge engines. That's cool.
Wait, so are you coming out as a one pedal braking enthusiast right now?
Yeah, I've talked about this. The Nissan Leaf. It is fantastic. It is great. Have you done it? Have you tried it?
I have wanted to
until you live with it.
Yeah, no, I really need to like rent an
Especially
EV.
in New York. Oh my God. In New York, all you're doing is like, I'm going to go 30 feet, stop. I'm going to slowly go. Having one pedal, literally, when you're cruising around town, is the best thing in the world. And also, it makes me feel good because it gets more juice back into my battery.
That's the big thing about it. Like one pedal braking pretty much exists because of regenerative braking, right? So
it does, but also like it is just better. We went from cars used to have 3 pedals, okay, and then people argued about going down to 2 pedals. And now they're like, hey, you could do one pedal. The brake's still there, but you don't always need it. The other great thing about one pedal braking is that you don't use your car's brakes that often. So you never have to replace your brakes either. It turns your brakes into something that lasts over 100,000 miles, likely. But anyway, whole thing there. Also want to shout out this reader email from Simon B, who sent in this note a little while ago. They're suggesting a topic for a future episode, so appreciate that. We will take suggestions about the enduring appeal of physical QWERTY keyboards, the persistent BlackBerry revival, and they suggest we get Crackberry Kevin on to guest. That feels like you're really demanding things now. You're going a little too far suggesting guests, but I like Crackberry Kevin. I would like to have this conversation because every time as time goes on, we see a new thing with physical keyboards for phones. I'm like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, it is the year 2025. we've had this discussion. We've lived with touchscreen, keyboards for a while. They're not perfect, but they've gotten pretty good. And also, you have a lot of different ways to make inputs now. And one of those ways a lot of people are doing is just like dictating stuff into their phones, not even typing that much. That stuff has gotten better. That is likely where we're headed. So I don't know what you gain by holding on to the little hunty pecky keyboards, because you will still type slower and maybe not even as accurately as a touchscreen keyboard, depending on how you type. Anyway,
Also,
whatever
the
happens with
existence
that.
of the concept of crackberry
Yeah.
was our first introduction to how addictive smartphones could be. I'm just throwing that out there. Like,
I don't know if
smartphones had
it's
been
the
hacking people's
focus.
brains basically
Mhm.
since the BlackBerry era, and we thought, oh well, maybe this will go away once the BlackBerry goes away, because BlackBerry
Mhm.
was also like closely associated with a certain archetype of person.
For sure, for sure.
In
But
fact,
it was.
reality just went in that direction.
I think the crackberry effect was a lot of, hey, social media was not a thing. If you could just like pull out a thing in your pocket and send a text message or email to somebody in 2000 to 2005, like before iPhones, like that was killer. Go check out the movie Blackberry. It is fantastic. Don't watch it with kids because it's very offensive, but there's a lot of swearing in that movie, and it's not completely historically accurate, but there's enough in there to show you like what made the BlackBerry special, and kind of how it died, because they could not foresee the iPhone. The innovator's dilemma comes for us all. It's basically it. So yeah, we will try to get that. I definitely want to do something around that, and also we have to bring on Mr. Mobile, who literally just launched a physical keyboard accessory, which I have not heard a peep about since it launched. So I hope that thing is doing okay. I hope that has not completely ruined their business or anything. I hope nobody took a big hit on that thing, because I never saw a full need for that either.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. As for what I'm working on a review of the Dell 16 Premier right now, which is basically the new XPS 16. I'm a little late on that, but I do want to get some thoughts out. Also, taking a look back at Microsoft's Copilot Plus program, which it exists, but nobody's talking about it. It's been over a year since it launched. Yeah, I'll have a piece about that soon. Thanksgiving's coming up. We will not have an episode next week. But we'll certainly be back in December with a bunch of stuff. Anything you're working on you want to shut up in that's publicly
No, just skip over.
known? Okay.
Oh, actually, wait, hold on.
Hmm.
So something I've been working on is actually working at a video podcast studio, because that's the way the world is going. And if I want to continue
Yeah.
working in podcasts, then um, that's something that I
Yeah.
will
Just
have
take a minute
to
for us both to stare directly at the camera. Okay. Yeah.
do. One thing that I'm really excited about is a new video podcast by the camera company Leica.
Hmm.
I just think that the people behind it are pretty cool. The
Hmm.
first couple of interviews that I saw being done seemed nice and substantive and interesting. Um, no SpawnCon from Leica here. We have talked about like smartphones with Leica cameras, but like that's basically it. I'm
I
just
like Leica.
saying that like
Yeah.
I am trying to surf the wave of podcasts, and it's going in the direction of video. And now these videos are being taken on Leica cameras.
Yeah, it took them a while. I like Leica as a company, just like the history of that company, and they've always been like doing interesting stuff. I don't like the prices of those lenses, but hey, it's cool. It's cool that they're producing this stuff. And yeah, it does seem like
Podcast isn't out yet, just so you know, but
yeah.
like look for it probably in January or so.
Shout that out when it does get released, Ben. Thank
Yep.
you so much. Yeah, I mean, we're producing a video podcast right now, mainly because like we were asked at one point to do a live stream. I'm like, okay, we could do that. But you could do so much more with video now too. So I love audio podcasts, but it does open up the possibilities of what you could do with content when you're doing video. So I could totally see why like that is now the thing. And yeah, I have to also practice making short videos more often when I'm not tired from work and parenting and life
And two children.
and two
Two
children.
children under 10.
Two
Two children under
yeah.
5? Question mark?
No, one is 7 now, so we're
Oh,
getting there.
7. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah, it happens real quick, but that's cool. Let's move on to our pop culture picks for the week. What do you got, Ben?
It's Vince Guaraldi season.
Yeah.
Starting in maybe like October 20th through the end of the year, you've got an automatic, wonderfully jazzy soundtrack in all of the Charlie Brown holiday specials. It doesn't matter that we're closer to Thanksgiving. The Halloween special is also great fall music.
It's all
And
good.
then as soon as December starts, because I will not listen to Christmas music before Black Friday, you have the legendary, the beautiful Charlie Brown Christmas soundtrack. It's like a Christmas party where everyone is hot and sophisticated, according to one TikTok that I am constantly referencing. So
Yeah, yeah.
go listen to some Vince G. You
Vince G
deserve
is
it.
great. Vince G is great. Like, talk about like, I think he was my first foray into like appreciating jazz.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Certainly,
think it's a
yeah.
doorway to jazz for a lot of people, and it's a really good doorway too.
It's really good and creative, and also captures the like honestly the melancholy of Peanuts too. Like it is, it's not a bright happy show all the time. That is a show about a depressed bald boy going through life,
Yep.
and I related to him quite a bit. But yeah, the Christmas song, the Christmas album is amazing. I try to play that. I used to love just like I don't like Christmas music in general. I have no attachment to it, but walking around New York in winter, listening to the album just like low in the background, that's perfect, especially when you're going through like the was it the Union Square like Christmas market or by the tree at Rockefeller Center or something. It's lovely. It's very sweet. So thank you. Appreciate that. You're gonna recommend Nice Christmas Times, Ben. I'm going to recommend something that's about our step into dystopia. The
Or
documentary Orwell 2
sure.
plus 2 equals 5 is out. This is Raoul Peck's film about basically combines George Orwell's writing and his thinking with kind of where we are at right now as a society, both in America and around the world. It's about the rise of fascism and also basically around about how like Orwell has been writing about this and how so much of this stuff is very predictable, and maybe we will find a way out of it, but we should probably take a step back and fully recognize what is happening around us. I thought this was a really effective documentary. If you're a news addict and you've been like following everything happening, like this probably is not news to you. You're probably well aware of like how far we have fallen. Um, but I think for a lot of people, if I could like in an Orwellian way make everybody in America watch a single documentary, um, it would be this one. It would be this thing to be like, hey, wake up! Our information, like our news, is being captured. The very idea of truth around this is being captured. The structures of power around this current presidential administration are really disgusting, and they're really laying the groundwork to be there for a while. All that stuff is maybe something we should be paying attention to. Check out the documentary Orwell 2 plus 2 equals 5. It's on video on demand right now.
Okay, we'll stick around to talk for a bit, but I'm going to do the outro now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of the episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by me, Ben Illman. You can find Devindra online at
Devindra on Blue Sky, and also a podcast about TV and movies at the Filmcast at thefilmcast.com.
Send me your picks for things that can get people into jazz at Hey Bellman on Blue Sky. Email us at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe on anything that gets podcasts. That includes Spotify.
All right. Oh,
So the reason that I was laughing when you were talking about the electric Porsche was not about one pedal breaking or the fact that it's only a car if you're in the market for a Porsche already. It is Wes Jackson who said, I have a non-puppet burlesque question, if that's okay.
Listen, I think you really have to explain to the class what is going on with Puppet Burlesque. This is why
Um,
this being in New York is just like random shit like this too.
yeah. So I mean, this is, I think, this is from a production company
Hmm.
that I won't mention on the stream, not because it's too dirty, but like it's I just don't want to say it on a YouTube
I
live
think I
stream.
think if
But
you
like
Google
it's
Puppet
from a
Burlesque,
burlesque production
uh-huh,
company,
uh-huh,
and the event is called Felt Up, which is
mm-hmm.
fun. The tech angle here, if you want to use one, is the poster is definitely generated by some kind of AI model because
No, should tell them no.
well, yeah, but like yes, they could have taken a picture of one of the puppets that they made or something, but like
Sell your
remember when
products.
people were generating like Muppet images of themselves in
Yeah,
like
yeah.
ChatGPT or something? Like this was definitely generated by
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Um, and I heard about it, and like in the last few weeks, I've been like going out and doing a lot of things because sometimes I will just be like, yes, New York City is expensive, and the only way to not like be exposed to how expensive it is to sit at my in my house and only go like 5 blocks from where I live, which is negating the entire utility of New York City. So now I've gotten out of that rut and I'm like, okay, let's go do things. And so I heard about puppet burlesque and I was like, yeah, sure, let's go off and do it. I was talking with my partner about puppet burlesque. Like
Hmm.
they wanted to go also, but they weren't able to. They had like something else going on.
Hmm.
That got into a conversation of like whether or not the Muppets would do like adult activities if they were allowed.
Have you
And
seen how raunchy Miss Piggy gets in movies?
oh yeah,
They
yeah.
they they
Uh,
leaned into a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I am so convinced that if Jim Henson wasn't reined in by some constraints of broadcast TV in the 70s and 80s,
Hmm.
that they would 100% have hard R-rated puppet stuff in the
Hannah's
Muppets.
out there just like running after women. Men are throwing themselves at Miss Piggy. Human men. Like that's a horny series. That
Yeah.
series never shied away from romantic attraction. Yeah,
Um,
that's cool. So you're doing stuff. My thing, like,
yeah, I'm
you do
doing
it
stuff, and
super.
that stuff involves puppet burlesque. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's easy to find. It's
And you
actually
know
not
what?
difficult to find, and it's
Another tech angle, another tech media angle. If Paris from Twit weren't
Mhm.
busy, we would have met up there because she was interested in puppet burlesque too.
Paris, who reads to me also like a Muppet character herself. So I love them. They're at the Consumer Reports right now. The things that are expensive about New York are like if you start doing the touristy stuff, right? Like the minute you contemplate going to a Broadway show, then you're in for a world of hurt because you're like, okay, how do I do this? How do I? What days can I actually afford? I paid way too much to see Hamilton in its first run, but you know what? At least that was worth it. You get
Also,
a good weekends
remember,
or something.
the second of two pilots for the Muppet Show on ABC
Uh-huh.
was a show called The Muppet Show, Sex and Violence. So I'm telling you, Jim Henson would have gotten those Muppets into spicy situations if he was allowed.
This reminds me,
So
did we talk about the
if
Alf
anything,
guy?
puppet burlesque is a truer to Jim Henson's vision for
Yeah.
puppets than
Did we
anything
ever
else.
talk about the Alf guy? The story about him? Why Alf
No,
never became a thing?
no.
Because he was too committed to the reality of Alf. So like he would always have rules when making the shows. Like people had to treat Alf like a real person, like a real character. Alf,
Like even when
Alf,
Alf was not
yes,
like
yes.
moving around.
Alf is real. He had a lot of rules for Alf. I think that also got in the way of like putting Alf on SNL as well too. He had a lot of demands around that, so that he killed Alf because he believed too hard in Alf's reality.
Well, that
In
was part
Alf's
of the
existence.
conversation that I had earlier this week. Like, I think Jim Henson was also like, these Muppets are people. but they're
Mhm.
also kind of cartoon characters.
Yes.
And the thing that I want to do is show these real people cartoon character hybrids in all of the situations that real humans get into, which includes spicy situations. And now I'm done talking about puppet burlesque, I promise.
You seem really into this puppet burlesque. I feel like
I just think that
college
it's
authorities.
funny. Every time I've brought it up, people are like, "Excuse me?" Like they lean in. So yes,
That's
it's
great. It's a mission accomplished. Mission
yes, mission
accomplished.
accomplished. So anyway,
Yeah.
let's go to something else. Wes Jackson also says, "Devindra, do your kids like the Peanuts? I
They
can't seem to
like
get my
Snoopy.
kids 13 and 14
Uh,
into it."
the
And
great
you
thing about
said that your
Peanuts,
kids love Snoopy, right?
it's a balance of Snoopy hijinks, Snoopy and Woodstock, plus the kids. And my kids are there for Snoopy, but also they slowly get incepted into the drama of the kids, and they do find the kids really funny. So you
I
guys
would say that
wired.
my entrance, like
Mm-hmm.
um Wes, I'm not sure if you were like exposing your kids to Peanuts prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
If you only started within the last like few years, it may be too late. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they'll get
But
into it. Yeah.
the thing to do if you want to get your kids into Peanuts or like a lot of other holiday media that you cherish is probably to make a whole thing around it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not just watching, it's not just like, oh, let's sit down and watch this and it's boring by their modern standards. It's like, let's make cookies, let's put on music, let's like decorate the tree or something, and then also watch, a Peanuts Christmas special or carve a pumpkin and watch the Charlie Brown Halloween
What you're saying is
special.
build core memories. Build core
Build core
memories
memories, but
around
you
events.
you have to build stuff around just the piece of media, because it's not just the piece of media that will be magic, it's the everything else, and it's really the connection time
The
with
core memory.
family.
Build that time. I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, occasionally I just get my kids to sit down and watch stuff, but to me, the watching stuff is the core memory. Wes Jackson
Mm,
says they took their kids to the Peanuts movie that came out 5 years ago. That's your mistake right there. I don't know how good that modern movie
no.
was. It looked awful. The actual design of the characters. You need 2D animation. You need Vince Guaraldi. That's all you need. You need the basic stuff. You need the like audio that was recorded on microphones that were so muffled that you can tell literally when they're fading in and out of actor
Mm,
lines. Like it's so basic. Like you need that aesthetic for it to work. Super polished Peanuts. It's not the same thing. It's totally
that also
different.
reminds me that I should get these Peanuts holiday soundtracks on vinyl,
Oh
because I only ever buy music that was either recorded in the vinyl era
yeah. Mm-hmm.
or is really trying hard to use like all of the analog equipment so that it sounds good on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
So a great example of a modern thing would be uh, Leon Bridges. Leon Bridges' first album that he did in an entirely analog studio sounds fantastic on vinyl,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes a lot of sense.
I wish that was like advertised more. Like this was recorded in this way. I wish that was a thing that was more easily known for people. Do you have good headphones, Ben, or good speakers?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of good headphones, and I have some Yamaha, what is it, YS5s or something.
Okay. Are you down the audiophile rabbit hole, or are you just like you have nice stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I am not down the audiophile rabbit hole because
And you of all people should be. You should
I
be
mean, yes,
licking
but
your hole.
like this is one of those things where there is no bottom.
Yeah.
Do you remember that article? It might have been in like the Wall Street Journal or something about this guy who spent like $250,000 on like audiophile stuff
Yeah.
because he had the money for it. And it was,
Fun.
yeah, but it's, you can do so
But
much
no, you
more.
reach what you have to do is reach the smart plateau of like where your investment matches like the best you could get before you hit those diminishing returns. But I'm just saying, get those Sony headphones, Ben. Get
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
1076 at this point, which are on sale. Yeah.
Yeah. My real goal is to get like a couple of pairs of really good wired headphones. Right now, I have the standard
Sure.
production headphones.
Yeah.
Um,
Completely flat, completely neutral, no fun. But yeah,
yeah,
they're fun.
but and they're also like less than $100. Like
Yeah.
that's a headphone always to keep around. I want to get some of the like really good Sony over ear
Yeah.
like Bluetooth headphones. Those would probably be a sometimes thing, like if I'm going on a flight or like some kind of long train or car trip
Great
where
air
I'm
muffler.
not
They're great
the
air
one
muffler.
driving.
Yeah.
And then also I'm starting to think that I'm gonna need to replace my Bluetooth earbuds sometime soon. And Jabra doesn't even make earbuds anymore. So
Jabra's dead.
maybe I just have to go to AirPods like everybody else now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You have to get a very high quality pair of earbuds that last a very long time and sound great and have great noise isolation. I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry. The Pro 3s, just the noise isolate the noise canceling alone is like freaking magic. So that'll make your subway ride so much better. Highly recommend it. Oh yeah, check out. We didn't really talk about Black Friday stuff, folks, but check out Engadget. We've got all the deals. We've got the deals coming. Check out next week. I got to run to the bathroom, so I think we can wrap.
Yeah, so thanks everybody for watching. Video stream and OBS operation comes to you by Devindra. Camera switching, which was kind of lazy today, but give me a break, by me. Production, background work, and stuff done by both me and Devindra. The interesting part of the live stream always comes to you by our chat. So thank you, DPro9. Thank you, Lucky Dog Podcast. Thank you, Mo Esquire. Thank you, Wes Jackson and Mike Jones and Charlie, just the name Charlie, not dude name. And any of the people that we forgot, thank you for watching. You can leave a YouTube comment if you want. You can also send us an email at podcast@engadget.com. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we'll see you in December. Bye.